buy this book. Peace as always, family. This is Iyapo. This is Iyapo Yapa, and we all know by now that Iyapo Yapa is an acronym. It stands for if you aren't pissed off, you aren't paying attention. Um, Today I'm going to talk about this black. I'm going to talk about this black. We're going to talk about Sister Ajali, the radical home goddess, a little bit. Now, first off, when I had the flu, which everybody knows I just got over the flu, I kind of had hoped that I would finish the book because I was saying that I was waiting until I finished the book before I would do my review, and it didn't happen. I was actually, believe it or not, just too sick to read, so I still have not finished it, but I don't want to keep going and not saying something about this work. Now you have to understand something about me. I'm a big movie buff, and I'm a big entertainment buff as far as books and everything. And I despise for people to give me spoilers or to tell me what's going on. It causes no end of conflict between me and my best friend, because he likes to tell you all about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I don't want to know what I'm walking into before I go into it, unless I specifically ask, and I almost never do that. And so when I review something, or when I tell someone about a movie that I've seen or whatever, I'm very careful not to give away plot points or to say exactly what it's about, because that's just how I am. But I will talk about the movie if you know what I mean, and if you don't, then you'll find out in just a minute. Anyway, I'm going to say a little bit about my relationship with the Radical Home Goddess channel. I've started watching her a little more than a year ago. And when I first started watching, I didn't subscribe immediately. I had to watch several shares before I subscribed, because, quite frankly, the things that she was saying were over my head. It was obvious that she's pro-black, that she's about our people. But then she talked a lot about Fukushima, which I was not at all familiar with. And the irony is that everyone's acquainted with 9/11, of course, because that happened on our shores. But very few people know that a few months earlier there was another disaster that has been impacting us worldwide ever since. And it was the Fukushima meltdown. And what I think what kind of saddens me about the whole subject of Fukushima is, I'll just even use as an example what's happening right now, with this feud that's happening between a few members of our community, and everybody's watching, everybody's keeping an eye on it. And not for nothing, I'm not saying it's a non-issue, but just as Antonio Moore said on his share, and I'll link you to it because it was an excellent share. He said a few words about it, but he said what we really need to be looking at is this tax reform that's happening, because this is what's about to batter us and stomp a mud hole in our behinds. Because these are issues that directly affect affect us. The same is true with Fukushima. This is an issue that directly affects us, and not in some like not in some way that's just like this ethereal, maybe this will happen or what. These are things that are actually affecting us right now in adverse ways. And we need to pay attention to them instead of paying attention to infighting and all that stuff. We're dealing with grown people who need to settle their differences however they settle them. But it's not really for us to sit and watch the festivities, as the saying goes. So when Sister Ajali is talking about Fukushima, when she's talking about health and home remedies and so on, and I'm starting to take heed because I really have to watch my health. I have to get this thing going. So come on, and this is a very important time. And now, actually, her message, and believe it or not, Antonio Moore's and Yvette Carnell's messages are kind of dovetailing, because what they're talking about are coming changes to the system that are going to affect our health care, our health insurance, and so on. And so now, it more than ever, it behooves our people to get healthy and to stay healthy and to start really trying to create for ourselves a healthy lifestyle, so that we don't have to go to the hospital, or so that we don't have to deal so much with healthcare, because now healthcare is starting to change. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, then we could end up in a situation where we're dependent on having to go to the hospital or clinic, and we don't have the money to do it, or use medications that we don't have the money for. So both of those issues actually collide, even though they may seem like they're two separate issues. That said, again, she Sister Ajali, my beloved sister, talks so much about Fukushima and about helping our people. She does other subjects, from time to time, but her concentration is the health and welfare of our people, and the fact that the Pacific Ocean is dead, which most people don't know. I had the conversation with my best friend, and I was talking about Fukushima. I said, look, if there was a meteor heading toward Earth, and there's absolutely nothing that could be done about it, it's like half the size of the Earth, there's absolutely nothing could be done about it, you think the government would tell you? Of course they would. What? So that there can be mass panic and there's nothing you can do about it anyway? So with Fukushima, it would be the same thing if you told people, the Pacific Ocean is dead, right? All the seafood coming out of it is poisonous, right? Not just the Pacific Ocean, but the Atlantic too, but mostly the Pacific. That there's radiation permeating the entire Earth now, that's not natural, and is affecting us and causing cancer rates to spike. What would you say? What would you do? Well, in Sister Ajali's last share, last live stream, I asked her about what things that we can do to get radiation out of our body, and her and step brother gave some excellent solutions. I'll link you to that share also. But that's when you listen to, and I'm getting around to the book. When you listen to Sister Ajali speak, at least for me, I can tell she is an extremely intelligent person. I'm not gonna say intelligent woman. I mean person. She's just an extremely intelligent person. It wasn't until I started reading her book, This Black, that I realized how intelligent she is, And the same thing will happen to you if you read your book, or anyone who has read it. I'm sure that you understand what I'm saying, because there's some things you can fake and some things you can't. Now I'm gonna have to tell on myself so that I can be totally honest. And I'm one of these type of people who I believe in just being real with it. When I first started reading Liz Black, I didn't know what to expect, which is good. That's the way I like it, as I said. But for the first 10 to 20 pages, I literally was and if you ever watched this, Sister Ajali, I apologize in advance for what I'm about to say, but it's just the truth. For the first 10 to 20 pages, I was looking. Well, it might even been further in than that, because I had read it on Amazon before that. But I was looking for like grammatical errors, messed up syntax, weak sentence structure. I was looking for all this. I couldn't find any. I could not find any. And the thing is that when it comes to writing, now you have like these European rules that they set in place for writing and so on, but there's weak sentence structure and there's bad syntax. But then there's this point where you can tell that a person is a master of their tool, and so they can bend the rules of that tool, of the tool that they're using. So what she does is she just totally bends it, and she I'm trying to figure out the right way to say this. She bends it in such a way that you know that she's doing it on purpose. You know, you can tell that she knows what the rule is. She just is not adhering to that rule. You have to read the book to understand what I'm saying. There are parts that I came to in the book because it's a very relatable book. A young person can read it and understand it, but it's not written at a young person's level. In one of my favorite movies, The Untouchables, there's a scene where Kevin Costner is being approached by someone that's trying to bribe him. And the first thing that he says to Kevin Costner, one of my favorite lines in the movie, he says, "I'm going to pay you the compliment of being blunt." I love that line so much, and I've used it so many times because it's so true and so accurate. When you tell a person, "I'm going to pay you the compliment of being blunt," being blunt is a compliment, because what you're saying to this person is, "You're an adult, and I know I don't need to coddle you. I don't need to work up to it, anything. You're man enough or woman enough to understand what I'm saying and what I'm about to say. So I don't need to play all these games with you. And therefore, I'm paying you the compliment of being blunt." Well, when you read this Black, Sister Ajali, who has a high intellect, okay, you read her book and you're just going to understand that the person who wrote this, if you didn't know anything about the person who wrote it, you would say this person has a high intellect and is extremely intelligent. She pays the reader the compliment of not writing down to them. And that is so important. She trusts the reader to understand what it is that they're reading. Now, it's not what I would call an easy read, but it's a plain read if you just pay attention. It's the type of a read that you have to pay attention. There are movies that I have watched with people, and I tell them, there's some movies you can just sit down. It's a popcorn movie, and you can actually go and get something and come back, and while the movie's still running, not miss a beat. And then there are some movies that you have to sit and you have to watch it and you have to pay attention. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily a horror movie to watch. It just means you have to pay attention. When you're reading this black, you have to pay attention. That's all. You don't have to like really concentrate. You just have to pay attention to what it is that you're reading, and you're gonna get a deep or deeper understanding of what is being said in the book. And again, the whole thing pays a compliment to our people. It pays a compliment to the fact that she trusts our people to be able to understand complex subjects. But written in a way that is totally accessible. Totally accessible. And like I said, a teenager can read it and understand it. Old guy like me can read it and understand it. Just have to pay attention. She deals with subjects of life and death. There's conflict in the story. And I'm one of these people. I love like movies like The Man Who Would Be King or Lawrence of Arabia, or even The Matrix. Stories where an unassuming chap starts out and you don't think much of them. You're just a regular person, and then you see them move into greatness. You see them move into their place, and you watch this growth. That's what happens in this black, and I love it. And there's like I said, there's conflict, there's death, there's most of the time a writer will create conflict or even speak in terms of death or approach complex subjects in a gratuitous kind of a way, or a way that they purposely try to shock the audience. And she doesn't use any of those devices. They're called devices. She doesn't use any of those devices. She writes about them in a very relatable way. There's several places in the book where I was genuinely touched by what was read. Touched meaning that I could relate to what was happening to the characters, and I felt them. And the other thing is that she writes it so well. In terms of writing and connecting with people, there was a story that I read by, and this was years ago. There's a story I read by H.P. Lovecraft. Very short story. It was only about 6 or 7 pages long, and it was in a paperback book in a kind of anthology series. And I read this Lovecraft story, and all the story was about was this guy going down into the ground, and when he got down there was something down there with him, and it was conversing with him. The way he wrote this was so atmospheric, and brother, you could connect. He put you in the scene. I'll put it like that. He put you in the scene so well. After I read this, and he meant for it to be scary, and it scared the living crap out of me. And I made my decision right then. I would never read anything by Lovecraft ever again, because that story scared the crap out of me. And all it was about, literally, was a man going into a hole and talking to something that was down there with him. So I said all that to say that when you read this black, she puts you in the story. She puts you in the scene. Let me see if I can find something that I can read in here without giving anything away. Because I have all these bookmarks. There was something like at the very beginning that kind of blew me away, and it would take me longer to find it. I should have found it before I started making this video, but it was it was near the beginning of the story, and it showed, and it was about the friends that were, they were walking home from school, and they were making fun of one of the kids. No, I'm giving something away saying this. So I can't say I need to finish this book, but I can't even say anything. Anyway, and I'm sorry about that. She puts you in the story. You're following this young man in the story. And she's writing the story. Now, this much I can say. The story is written in the first person, which is very difficult to do. And it's extremely difficult to sustain. And I'm reading the book and I'm just blown away by it. I'm like, how in the world is she sustaining this in the first person narrative? So, but as being written in the first person, it's what's so odd about it is that she writes it in a way that you're in the story. You feel like you're the character, but you feel like you're watching at the same time. It's really it's like Gwen B said. Gwen B. It's like Gwen B said. It's 3D writing, because you really do. You feel like you're in the position of the character and watching the character at the same time, watching the scenes at the same time. It's, as I said in one of my other shares. If you love to read, you're going to love this book. If you don't love to read, you're going to love this book. I'm a very visual person. I'm a visual thinker. When you want me to understand something, and this is just me because I'm very visual. When you want me to understand something, give me an analogy. I'll understand it better than something I read or something that you even tell me. Give me an analogy. And I'll get it like that as soon as you give me an analogy, because then I see it in my mind as like a movie. And as I said about this black, it's like a movie in your mind. It really is. So well written. It doesn't insult your intelligence by talking down to you. The writer, Ajali Shabazz, is brilliant. She is a brilliant person. When you read this book, you're going to see how brilliant she is. But understand, she didn't write it to show off how brilliant she is. Every word that you read just drips love for our people. It drips respect for our people. If there's one thing I hate is when I see something and I know that whoever made the movie or the book or whatever is talking down to me. Do not talk down to me. Explain things. Explain things the way you would explain them to an adult. And or explain things the way that you would explain to a person who you feel has an intellect. I'll say it like that. And that's exactly the way she does in this book. She explains things and she writes this in a way that she knows that she knows that our people are an intelligent, brilliant people. And she writes to that. Okay. Money's tight for everybody. That's understood. Am I gonna go see Black Panther in February? You better believe it. But how much is a movie? You pay $7-10 to get in there, whatever, and however much to get a bag of popcorn and soda. By the time you're done, you pay for groceries. Miss one movie and buy this book. Miss one pair of shoes and buy this book. miss, in my case, buying a collector's edition Blu-ray and buy this book. Support our people. Support our people. She did not write this to become rich. She did not write this to prop herself up. She wrote this for our. She wrote this for our people. Our people need entertainment. You know, I love entertainment. I love movies. I'm a movie buff. You know, we love to be entertained. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's so hard to find good material that pertains to our people. You know, that's why I love Birth of a Nation. That's why I'm looking forward to Black Panther. But Black Panther is put out by Disney and the Marvel Studios. So it's more, you know, white people gonna be making money off of us. But I'm looking forward to the positive portrayal of our people on the screen. But when it comes to materials that are for us and by us, we really have got to start investing in our own people. In our own people. This here, you don't do this overnight. You don't do this. This represents blood, sweat, and tears. This represents a lot of work. And it's not only is it worth the money, but it serves this book and products like this serve purposes for our community and in our community. We really need to support our people. I know that you hear it from everybody, but we need to start doing it. And there's different ways to support our people. You know, sometimes you can see that you can just help somebody. It's not always monetary. You can see that you can just help somebody with something that will save them some money and help them out. Do that, and then they have that money that they can put someplace else in our community. That's the way it works. That's the way everybody else does it. And we should do it that way also. So this is like my little pre-review. Well, I'm saying little. I don't know how long this has been running, but this is my pre-review of this black. Buy the book. It's on Amazon. I'll give you the link. I don't get paid for doing this. I'm, Sister Ajali, she'll probably see this at some point. Then she might never see this. I'm not going to tell her about it, but she'll probably see it because she's pretty sharp. So, but just buy this book. And if you have never gone to the Radical Home Goddesses site, I don't know how that could be possible because she has over 14,000 subscribers. So become one of them, and I'll give you the link below. Or the lab. I'm going to start saying lab. So that's about it. As always, I love you so much, family. I'm all about our people. I'm all about us. Because we're great and we're fantastic and we are brilliant. And my subscribers are spectacular. And thank you for each and every one of you. And that's about it. I'll see you soon. And peace and blessings to you. Peace. Buy that book.